On today's bonkers.ie episode, myself, Caoimhe, along with my colleague Daragh, will be looking at 7 ways to lower your car insurance premium. We'll hear some top tips from our colleagues on how they cut their car insurance costs, and from Enda Brazel, the head of the insurance team at bonkers.ie, to find out what red flags and unnecessary costs we can avoid incurring when applying for our car insurance policy. So if you want to find out how you can keep your car insurance costs low, stay tuned. So, welcome to the podcast, Daragh.
Thanks, Caoimhe.
So now today, as we mentioned, we're going to be talking about car insurance premiums, and you're going to share with us 7 ways that we can lower our car insurance costs. Now, there are around 2.2 million private car insurance premiums out at the moment. And I would say, Daragh, that the majority of those people have probably complained about the cost of their car insurance premiums at some point. I know I definitely have. And especially if you are a young person, you are hit with really heavy fees. Now, according to a report from the Central Bank of Ireland, car insurance premiums are on the way down. So they're averaging out at about €578 a year, which is down €135 from 2017, which is, as we both know, when we hit our peak car insurance costs. So Daragh, before we start on your tips, are car insurance premiums really on the way down?
Yes and no. And car insurance is what's called a really, really fragmented product. And what that means is that there are so many different variables that go into the cost of car insurance that everyone's car insurance premiums can be very, very different. So if I said to you, what's the price for a litre of milk? It's probably not going to change that much depending on where you go. But when it comes to car insurance, depending on your age, where you live, your occupation, your no claims history, your driving history, the type of car that you're driving, all those things can affect someone's premium. So whilst premiums may be falling for one person, depending on what you're doing in your car and your driving history, it may be rising for another. But having said that, yes, in general, for the past maybe 18 months to 2 years, car insurance premiums have been falling. And obviously that's a big difference to what's been happening overall, because as we all know, we've had record inflation in Ireland and indeed elsewhere in Europe for the past maybe 2 years. We have record energy prices. Home insurance premiums are skyrocketing. They're up around 22% year on year. Car insurance premiums, according to the Central Statistics Office, are down at the moment around maybe 3 to 4% over the past year. But towards the end of last year, they're actually down around maybe 9-10%. So yes, in general, for people, car insurance premiums are easing, thankfully, but it really does depend. It won't be the same for everyone.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I got a shock when I saw that statistic from the Central Bank of Ireland, because my quotes are not €578, but I'll take it because I'm young. But Daragh, what are the reasons you were saying it's so variable what quotes you're going to get? So what are the things that impact the cost of your premiums?
Almost anything can impact the cost of your car insurance premium apart from gender. Insurers are no longer discriminate or charge different prices depending on whether you're a man or a woman. Now, they can charge different prices for a whole host of other reasons, which I'll go into now. So one is your age. So in general, the younger you are, particularly if you're in your late teens or early 20s, and maybe even until your late 20s, you're going to be charged more than someone who's in their 30s, 40s and 50s. So it is really, really tough if you're young and are trying to get car insurance. It used to be the case that it was particularly tough for men, but as I say, now little boy racers have to be charged actually the same price.
Wow, so it's bad for women.
Yeah, it is actually. It is. Sometimes though, then you can get to the stage where maybe your age does start going against you a little bit. So maybe when you start getting into your 70s and 80s. So kind of, I suppose, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s tends to be the sweet spot. But age is definitely a big impact on the cost of a premium. The next thing is your driving history. So this probably isn't that shocking to people. If you have penalty points, if you've been before the court, if you've been in car accidents before, that says to insurer that you're not a particularly good driver and you're not necessarily a safe bet. So that's going to impact on your premium.
You're going to make a claim, basically.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. And then following on from that, your no claims bonus. So if you have not made a claim for several years, particularly over the past maybe 5 or 6 years, you'll be getting a no claims bonus, which can take something like maybe 50 to sometimes maybe even 70% off the cost of your car insurance.
Crazy.
So that's a big, big thing. The model and age of your car is also a big thing. I mean, obviously, if you're driving a car that costs €60,000, your insurance is going to be a bit more than someone who's driving a car that's only worth maybe €2,000 and it's 15 years old. So that's a big one.
But does that work both ways? Because if I got a really terrible car because I wanted to cut my costs, will I be punished then as well for insurance?
I mean, it would definitely help. But then again, your age is probably going against you because you're still in your 20s. In general, the more expensive something is to replace, the more the insurance is going to be.
Okay.
And that's the same even with other types of insurance. So for example, if you're living in a 8-bedroom, beautiful mansion, your home insurance premiums are going to be a lot more than if you're living in a little bungalow that's only maybe 40 square meters. So the model and age of your car is a big thing. Another point that can affect things is how you use your car and your occupation, believe it or not. So if an insurer thinks that you're in a job where you're going to be driving lots, that can impact on your premium. So it's a little bit kind of contentious, and the insurers don't give away sometimes too much information, but sometimes jobs such as maybe even a child-minding job, journalism, where they think that maybe you're going to be in a car a lot, that can actually increase the cost of your premium. As well, if you're unemployed, that can sometimes increase the cost of your premium as well. Usually what an insurer wants to see is that you're in an office-based job, 9 to 5, and kind of pretty normal and boring, dare I say it.
And would I be right to assume then if you're maybe doing shift work, your premium could be higher because you'd be coming home in the middle of the night?
Yeah, that could sometimes impact things as well. Now, I would say to people, never lie. So you do need to be honest and give your exact occupation. Another point is where you live. So some areas are unfortunately more prone to burglaries and break-ins. So your address and where you're going to be parking your car can impact on your premium as well. And then obviously the type of cover. So whether you want third-party fire and theft cover or fully comprehensive cover is going to impact things as well.
Yeah, now Daragh, premiums in Ireland are very expensive, and I know we mentioned earlier that you can get it for 578 on average, but for young people between the ages of 17 and 29, on average they're paying about €1,000 for their premium. And as a result, not just with young people but across the board, Ireland has very expensive premiums, I would say. And that kind of impacts the amount of people who are driving uninsured, because Ireland has the highest number of uninsured drivers in the EU. Currently, 8.3% of drivers do not have insurance. That kind of rounds up to around 188,000 drivers, or 1 in 12 people. That's insane.
It is. It's insane. It's really, really shocking. It's not a statistic to be proud of.
Yeah.
You should never, ever get behind the wheel of a car or any motorised vehicle if you do not have insurance. And what people need to remember is those who pay for those who don't. So one of the reasons why your insurance is so high is because you are paying for all the car accidents of people who do not have cover. So never, ever, ever do it. And if you can't afford it, then unfortunately, then don't get a car and don't drive.
And there are organisations set up to help people then who become victims of uninsured drivers. So the Motor Insurance Bureau of Ireland, and that's actually who delivered those statistics of 1 in 12 people. And if we look at Europe, it's staggering the difference. So in the UK, 2.5% of drivers are uninsured. Ireland, it's 8.3%. And I think a really important thing that you said there earlier is that you're not sticking it to the man by not paying for your insurance policy. You know, the people who are worse off are us, because we have to fit the bill, because it's all based on risk assessment. Now, according to iReach, they did a study, and 1 in 5 people in Ireland currently know someone who does not have car insurance. I personally don't.
I don't.
But, you know, maybe it's time we all say to those people, cough up.
Yeah, cough up and cop on.
Yeah, cough up and cop on. Quote of the day. Now, next hour, I'm going to be joined by Enda Brazel, who is the head of the insurance team in bonkers.ie. And he's going to just talk us through some of the red flags that providers look out for in car insurance applicants and what we can do to avoid adding unnecessary costs to our premiums. So if you're ready to hear some top tips as well from Enda and from our staff members too, we've rounded them up and got their best top saving tips. Just make sure to stay tuned, okay?
Will do.
Bonkers.ie is a one-stop shop for saving on all your household bills. Switch and save today across a range of energy, broadband, banking and insurance products with our free, easy-to-use tools.
So, Enda, you're the head of the insurance department at bonkers.ie, and you're going to tell us what red flags insurance providers look out for in a car insurance applicant and what we can do to avoid adding unnecessary extra costs to our car insurance premiums.
Thanks, Caoimhe. Yes, a couple of things to point out. Having a car with modifications, so that can either result in you being refused a quote or quoted a higher premium. Similar to that, a left-hand drive car or an imported car from Japan and America. Again, insurers don't really tend to quote those, so just be aware of that. An interesting one here, owning a really expensive car. So most insurers have a maximum value for their online quotes. So you won't know what that is, but if your car is more expensive than that, you won't get a quote. You probably have to call them to get cover or get a quote. And again, this is an older one, having an older car, so over 15 to 20 years old. That won't be an issue for you renewing your current insurance, but it will be an issue for you if you're looking for a new business quote from a different insurer. A lot of insurers don't want to quote those cars. And again, obviously having a history of making claims. So obviously if you've lots of claims, that can result in either significant premium loading or a refusal to quote. And then another one to point out, a really big one, is having lots of penalty points, or else if your tax and NCT is more than 6 months out of date. So insurers can validate all these three things and they can either refuse you a quote or load your premium. So they're the ones to look out for.
Next, I spoke to some of the staff from the customer service and insurance team at bonkers.ie and found out what their top tips on lowering their insurance costs are. So guys, what do you do to keep your car insurance costs low?
Yeah, so when I look at buying a new car, I usually take a look at the engine size. I take it into consideration because the smaller the engine, the cheaper the premium.
My top tip, Caoimhe, is to always shop around. Don't ever assume that when you receive your renewal that you're getting the best deal for your loyalty to that insurer. Always shop around. Myself, I always go to a broker who have a wide range of insurers and will source the best deal for me.
I add my boyfriend as an additional driver to my car insurance policy to reduce the cost. He's an excellent driver with no claims, no penalty points, so that helps me to save money.
Protect yourself from the unexpected on bonkers.ie. Get the best rates on life insurance, mortgage protection insurance, home insurance and car insurance.
Now, Daragh, you've just heard some of the top tips from our colleagues, and I was just wondering if you could build on this. So what are your top 7 tips to lower your car insurance costs?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the first one is looking at maybe upping your excess. So an excess is the initial amount that you pay yourself in the event of a claim. So this actually applies for all types of insurance. So even health insurance and home insurance and car insurance. So let's say there's an accident or something happens to your car and there is €2,000 worth of damage and you have an excess of €200. That means that the first €200 isn't paid out. And with car insurance, and indeed all types of insurance, if you increase the excess maybe to €500 or maybe even €1,000, that can have a really, really big impact on the cost of your premium. In other words, it can go down. The other kind of point about that as well is that with claims, like if you make a small claim for something like €200, let's say you've no excess on your policy and you make a claim for €200, you then potentially lose your no claims bonus unless you have a form of step back protection. But you might potentially lose your no claims bonus, in which case you've lost your no claims bonus and all that big difference for the sake of €200. So quite often I would be saying to people, don't be claiming for really, really small things. And then usually if you have a big excess of maybe 500, you wouldn't be claiming for those things anyway. So yeah, looking at the excess on the policy is one quick and easy way to reduce the cost of your premium. And the next thing kind of building on from this is building up your no claims discount. So this is probably one of the biggest things or the biggest impacts on the cost of your premium. Now, it obviously can't be done overnight. You can't just suddenly have 5 or 6 years no claims, but that is going to be really, really important. With most insurers, after around maybe 5, 6, 7 years, that's the maximum that you can get. Obviously, if you have not made a claim for 10 years, that's great. But usually the discount stops being applied after around maybe 5, 6 or 7 years. So that's what you really, really want to aim for. And the discount can be anywhere from maybe 50 to 70%. Wow. So it is really, really big. So being a good driver, a careful driver, not making any claims is going to have a huge impact on the cost of your premium.
What is your third?
Looking at the type of cover that you have. So there's third party fire and theft, and fully comprehensive. And I think particularly for younger drivers, in most cases, particularly depending on the type of car that they have, third party fire and theft should be more than enough. Now, obviously, maybe whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, so if you buy a brand new Tesla for 50 grand and it's brand new, of course, you're probably going to go for fully comprehensive cover. But if you're driving a 15-year-old Ford Ka that you got secondhand, no disrespect to Ford Kas, I had one myself, that was great. You know, do you really, really care if it gets a few knocks and scrapes and scratches? So that's what I'd be saying. And particularly for younger drivers, but sometimes even for older drivers as well, but particularly for younger drivers, the difference between fully comp and third-party fire and theft can be really, really big. Sometimes when you start getting into your 40s and 50s and you've maybe lots of driving experience and 8 years no claims discount, sometimes the difference isn't really that big. But for younger drivers in particular, maybe just trading down is really, really important.
Yeah, and I think that's important important too, because the majority of Irish drivers actually are on fully comprehensive.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good way to kind of reduce your policy.
Leading on from that, only get cover for what you need. And again, this really does apply to all types of insurance. But with, for example, car insurance, you might be paying for breakdown assistance, but maybe you already have that with the AA.
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that you're not double paying for something. You can obviously get replacement locks cover, and now particularly for newer cars, where sometimes the cost of replacing keys can be, oh my God, insane, like several €100. That might be really, really important. But maybe if you have a much older car where the keys are much easier and cheaper to replace, maybe that mightn't be quite so important. So just looking at the policy and just making sure that you're not paying for stuff that either A, you don't need, or B, you maybe are paying for somewhere else is also really, really important. If you're a younger driver, but sometimes again, even if you're not so young and you're trying to get down to cost your car insurance, getting what's called a black box installed can be important.
Yeah, I've heard of these. I have a few friends actually who have them.
Yeah, so what it is where literally kind of like a mini box is placed in your car, and it allows your insurer to monitor your driving habits. So sometimes they'll be able to see things such as when you're driving, because obviously if you're going at it like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, they might be like, okay, what's Caoimhe up to here?
What's going on?
They'll be able to monitor your speed, when you're driving, sometimes even as well your acceleration and deceleration, so the quality of your driving. And basically it allows you to show them that you are a good driver, and kind of if they kind of you pass the test, and they'll monitor the data over several months, and then if they see that you are a good driver, that can reduce the cost of your premium. So particularly again, if you're a younger driver, look into us. But even if you're an older driver and maybe you are only just taking out a car insurance premium for the first time, or you find your premium quite high, just do look into us, because it might be something that's available to you as well.
And it's always good to be forced to be a good driver, so
Absolutely,
safety
yeah.
as well.
And sometimes it just might give you info that you didn't realise. The other point as well is obviously, okay, shop around. We always say this at bonkers.ie. Now, in fairness,
big fans of this phrase.
Yeah, now in fairness, when it comes to car insurance, we are good at shopping around. And I would always say the obsession that we have with getting better value car insurance should apply to other products as well. But do always look at shopping around and looking at getting the best deal. There's a thing though called price walking, okay? So it was a ban price walking last year. And what price walking used to mean, and you'll understand why it is important, is that it used to be the case that if you maybe stayed with the same insurer for several years, you might be charged a loyalty premium. Whereas maybe, let's say if I was maybe shopping around every year, or if I was really good at haggling with my insurer, they might give me a lower discount. And whereas whilst we might technically should have been charged the same premium, because I was better at maybe haggling, let's say, I might be on a lower premium. That's now been banned. It's been banned in home insurance as well. But what it means is that while first year discounts are allowed, so we can shop around and we can get any discount depending on the generosity of the car insurer or how much we're prepared to haggle. In year 2, 3, 4, and 5, technically under this new rule, everyone, all things being equal, presuming you're driving with the same type of car, everyone has to be charged the same premium. But what that also means, though, is that if you, let's say, Caoimhe took out car insurance, and let's say for the first year it was €600 because you got a discount and you haggled, in year 2, that could maybe jump up to €900.
So you do have to shop around, or you're just going to be punished.
And that is perhaps one reason as well why people are seeing big jumps in the cost of their car insurance and home insurance. So if you are with your car insurance provider, or indeed like I said, your home insurance provider, and you're with them for the second year and you get a big jump in your premium, that may be because your first year discount has gone and you have to switch if you want to get another deal. It is also why it is more important to really shop around and try and switch every single year.
And I think what's really important, like a good tip that I was always told, is that when you, let's say, get your renewal letter, take that as the most expensive quote you're going to get. And use that then to shop around and be like, well, I know this is my highest rate that I would be charged.
And another point on that is that even though premiums are going down for most people, but not everyone, and this goes for all types of insurance, sometimes that can be bad for value because, and I get why this is the case, because if you, let's say, got a premium and it went up €100, you'd be like, oh my God, it's gone up €100. I'm definitely shopping around. I'm being ripped off. But if you see that it's gone down €50, you might say, oh, it's gone down. Brilliant. But actually, if you shopped around, you could have saved saved another 50
Yeah.
or another 100. So whether it's your car insurance, your home insurance, or your health insurance, even if you get your renewal and it says it's gone down a little bit, that doesn't mean you should be like, hey, great, you could save even more. Because if it's going down for you, it's probably going down across the board, meaning other insurers could be offering discounts and maybe even bigger discounts. So shop around, as always.
So that's your 7 top tips. Now, do you have any extra bonus tips for us, Daragh?
It's kind of been touched on previously in the podcast, but what I would say to people, and again, particularly younger car drivers, but even older car drivers, when you are buying a car or about to buy a car, make sure you can get insurance for it. I don't mean that you just, this goes particularly for the parents of younger drivers, not that you just go in, pull in like a rough quote, oh, what would it cost to insure Caoimhe? Yeah, I think she'll be driving maybe some type of a Ford cab, put it in.
Yeah.
Like, literally, as Enda has alluded to, there are lots of different things in a car, the modifications, sometimes the age, was it imported, that can affect the premium. And what you absolutely do not want is to buy a car and then find out you can't insure it, or that the insurance is like $5,000 or $6,000. So have a car in mind that you are 99% about to buy, and then go on and put in every single detail, get a full quote, and make absolutely sure that you can get a decent quote for that car insurance premium. Because it happens. Parents go out, they buy cars, they think it's great, they know it's going to be a bit expensive, but then suddenly they've asked for any car modifications, or is it an import, these tiny things, and suddenly it's like, actually this is going to cost me way more. So always make sure that you can actually get an affordable quote for what you're about to buy.
Excellent, Daragh. Well, thank you for those 7.5 tips. So we're going to come back in a moment.
There's one more. We were on 6.5. So
6.5. We were on 6.5.
6.5. Now 7.5. A final one is including a named driver.
Oh, yes. Okay. Good one.
So
Smart.
this is alluded to by Ava as well. So basically a named driver, as the name suggests, is when you put another driver on your policy. Helps for younger people. But again, as I keep saying, I sound like a broken record, but it can help for older people as well. So if you maybe Caoimhe are getting insurance, you might put maybe your mum down as a named driver on the policy, and that can help bring down the cost. The reason why it does that is they feel that's not just going to be you that's driving the car 24/7.
The liability.
Yeah, so that's someone else there as well. And then obviously don't put someone down as a named driver if like they have a record or if they have like penalty points. That ain't going to happen. But it's important though that you are honest, so that you don't do it the opposite way. So you put someone down like your mum as the main driver, whereas you're the main driver. That's called fronting and is illegal. So you need to put yourself down as the main driver if it is your car, but you can't put down someone as a named driver. So it could be usually people, it would be people's parents.
Yeah. Do you know what as well? I actually got that tip a lot when I was looking to buy insurance. So many people were telling me, put your mom or your dad down as your main driver. And I was like, that is illegal. I was like, that's illegal. But people don't realise how common fronting is and how illegal
it is. Yeah, like
they
listen, like don't do it. Don't be fronting. Don't be driving without car insurance. All those type of things. But like I said, it is okay to put them down as a named driver. And like, to be honest, maybe your mum will take the car the odd day. I did it with me. I put my dad down, and it can help.
Every little helps, as they say. So welcome back to the last segment of the podcast. Daragh, you know it is my favourite section. It is true or false, and we are going to be testing Daragh's knowledge to see what he knows about car insurance. Okay. So, Daragh, number 1. My driving history from abroad will be taken into account when I apply for car insurance.
So that is true now, but it did used to be false, which I know is a big bone of contention and difficulty for expats coming back home and stuff. So
yeah. Bing, bing, bing. You're correct. So, as you were saying, often drivers experience who are abroad, they will get a lot higher rates when they return to Ireland. And it used to be really, really bad. So, up until 2017, insurers wouldn't be taking your driving history into account, but that's now changed. So as long as a person can provide proof of claims-free driving experience abroad and additional documentation that they have to provide, they are going to be likely able to get a discount. We recommend, so if you are an expat and you're returning and you have a no claims bonus, to contact insurance directly in order to receive more information about this. Also, if you've only been abroad for less than 2 years, your no claims bonus should still be ongoing. So that shouldn't be an issue for you. And typically insurers will take into account people who are driving abroad in and have no claims history in the EA. Along with Australia, Canada, Japan, Switzerland, South Africa, and the USA. So there is hope for everybody out there who is returning that their car insurance isn't going to be through the roof.
Yeah. But keep your paperwork, so when you get your renewal letter in Australia or New Zealand or wherever you are, because it's probably quite similar here, where you get your renewal letter, it has to be by law around maybe 3 or 4 weeks before it's due to renew, and that is supposed to give you details of your no claims bonus. It's a lot easier when you have the paperwork rather than trying to chase up on it from somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so number 2, you touched on this earlier. Men pay a higher level of insurance than women.
So false. And it shouldn't be technically, and I say this as a man. A few years ago in 2013, I think it was, there was a court case that went all the way up to the echelons of the European courts, and it basically was saying that you can't discriminate based on gender in insurance. So, listen, the statistics are there, particularly younger males are far worse drivers and more dangerous drivers than females. That's why little boy racers used to have so much difficulties getting car insurance. But now everyone has to be lumped in together.
Yay, equality.
It works both ways.
Yay.
But it's kind of a funny one because, like I said, you can price discriminate based on anything else with car insurance, your age, your occupation, where you live. You just can't do it based on your sex.
Yeah. And as well, I think some people still don't believe that. Like, there's still those myths going around that men are charged more, especially because there are some insurance websites that are targeted towards women, but they still have to provide you with insurance the exact same as men.
Yeah.
So, the benefits are gone. So number 3, car insurance is more expensive if you have an electric vehicle.
So this is false.
It is.
So it used to be true, because they were kind of afraid that it was so expensive to replace parts, even if there aren't that many parts with an electric car.
Yeah, no, definitely they used to be more expensive, because they just didn't know how they were going to replace parts and maybe the safety of these vehicles. But now, as they become more and more common on Irish roads, actually this year so far has seen the highest uptake of electric vehicles ever in Irish history. Many insurance providers now offer green discounts for people with electric vehicles, and they want to support a green environment. Now, we did actually have an episode on electric vehicles, so if anybody is looking for more information about the grants available, how charging your car home works, and different types of EV brands out there, you can give a listen to that. But as it stands, car insurance is not any more expensive if you have an EV.
Good.
Yeah. And lastly, car insurance premiums are more expensive if I live in a city.
Yeah, true. True. But it depends on what city. But because robberies, break-ins in certain areas can be more common, unfortunately, in the cities and the big smoke compared to down the country.
Yeah, definitely. So premiums are much higher in places like Dublin, Limerick and Cork. However, you might be surprised, but some rural counties have really high premiums, and that's because there might be a likelihood for people to drive very dangerously on the roads, or the roads mightn't be in the best condition.
You're talking about Donegal?
We're not naming names.
We're not naming counties. Donegal.
Donegal has a reputation. But according to a recent survey by chill.ie, the average cost for car insurance in Dublin is around €683. In Longford, it's €783. And in Louth, it's €709. And I never would have thought those counties would have had higher premiums, but they do.
Yeah.
And Munster, out of the 4 provinces, has the cheapest, while Ulster, we're not surprised, has the highest premiums for all the counties. So there you go.
Good. Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, go Dublin. So that brings us to the end of our episode on 7.5 ways.
But almost 6.5.
Yeah, almost 6.5 ways to cut the cost of your car insurance. And that brings us to the end of our episode on 7 ways to lower the cost of your car insurance premium. I want to give a special thanks to Daragh for sharing his price hacks, and to Enda Brazel and our colleagues for sharing their car insurance insights and top tips. Lastly, I want to give a special shout out to our research and editing team, so thank you Theo and Zoe. And if you want to cut the cost of your car insurance premium, head on over to the bonkers.ie car insurance service, which will help you find the best value policy to suit your needs. You can also find a range of different insights and tips on how to lower your car insurance costs in our guide and articles section. Bonkers.ie also provides a variety of free and easy to use comparison tools which will help you save money across energy, broadband, insurance and banking products too, by providing you with the cheapest deals on the market. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the bonkers.ie podcast on your podcast app of choice, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok for our top car insurance and personal finance saving tips. Bye for now.